Hello everyone, welcome to this class. Today we are going to talk about a very important chapter in your grammar book. The name of the chapter is Transformation. This chapter, Transformation, gives you a very unique quality to express one certain sentences or statement into different ways. In short, if we say transformation provides us a unique idea, a unique style to express different sort of expressions in a different sort of ways. So this becomes one of the most important chapters of English grammar. And today we are to discuss it in quite detail. First of all, let's talk about how we should understand the term transformation. First of all, we have unique way to accent or pronunciate this word. We have to say transformation. We don't have to say transformation. We have to say transformation. So let's talk about what exactly the word means. The word has a very simple meaning or sense, but when we dive deep into this very chapter, we are to learn different sort of things and they are going to be amazing. So let's start the class. Dear students, transformation simply means that we change the structure of a sentence. We change the structure of a sentence. Actually, what we are going to do in this chapter is we are to change the structure of any sentence, but we have to be aware, like we have to be cautious that meaning should not be changed. What we are to do is we are going to change the structure of a sentence, but we have to be aware that we can't change the meaning. Structure, change. Meaning, not. So we have to be cautious here. Sometimes we make a mistake by changing the structure of a sentence, but we are not aware that we are also changing the meaning of the sentence. But in this type of chapter, we have to be aware of this very fact that we can't change the structure, we can't change the meaning of the particular sentence. Let's take some of the instances, some of the examples to better understand what is transformation. So we have to move to the next. Well, let's take some example. What I said was that change 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 the structure, not change the meaning. We can change the structure, but we can't change the meanings. We have to be aware. Let's take one simple example. For example, when we write C is voice. When we say C is voice, so it's a sort of very quite simple sentence. But now we are going to change its structure, but we can't change the meaning. Let us see how. C is not stupid or fool or foolish. So we have actually changed the structure, the format, but we have not changed the meaning over here. And back to back, we are going to understand a lot of tips and tricks, a lot of rules of transformation that will help us and reach our expression in different sort of ways. C is a doctor. Let's understand another example. She's a doctor. So we can change its structure without changing its meaning. And this would be, isn't she a doctor? So back to back, we understand that how we are changing the structure but not changing the meaning. Now we are going to dive deep into this, and we will try to understand some sort of connectors, some sort of other things which are quite which are used in transformation. In transformation, we change. First of all, we have different sort of changes, like we change to, we change as soon as, we change exclamatory sentence into assertive, sometimes we change assertive into interrogative. We have different sort of changes, and back to back we are going to see all those changes in this class, and you will understand and learn many more things in this class. So stay connected in order to understand these stylish manners. Well, you might have seen that in your sentence sometimes we write as soon as. And if you find this sort of connectors in a sentence and you are told to transform those very sentence, in that case you have to replace as soon as with no sooner. No sooner. Let's take one example. As soon as she sensed danger, she fled. Well, we have one sentence. As soon as she sensed danger, she fled. Now, let's understand. Let's understand. We have as soon as, and we have a comma over here. Now what we are going to do is to replace this very sentence and the structure of the sentence using no sooner. Let's understand. No sooner did she sense. We have to be aware that when we use did, we have to use first form of the verb, because we have sensed means we have V2. It means the speaker is talking in the present past simple tense. So in that case, we have to use did plus V1. Now, this becomes example of inversion. Let's try to understand our very short tips over here, and the tips is about grammar. There is a topic, and the name of the topic is inversion. In this topic, we see that some of the sentences have partial change and some of the sentences have complete change. Complete change. For example, we have no sooner did she. She becomes an example of partial change. Sometimes we do complete change. For example, on the desk sits a cat. What we understand here, that we have reversed the sentence completely. We have changed the pattern of the sentence completely. So when we complete change a sentence, for example, we have preposition here, article here, and noun here, verb here, and the subject falls in the last of the sentence. So in this case, we understand that this becomes an example of complete change, and it is from inversion. There is a chapter. And this is an example of partial change. In competition or in many competitive examination, you can find this sort of sentences which you are told to find out some sort of error. In that case, you have to be aware that we have to use no sooner plus this auxiliary verb, and then after we have main verb. So no sooner did she sense danger, 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 we have to use now instead of this comma. No sooner did she sense a danger than she fled. Then she fled. Now, this is synthesis of the sentence. Means we have combined and we have changed the pattern using some different sort of connectors. We have a lot of examples, and we are going to understand it back to back. So we have another one. As soon as Sita was gifted a cycle from her father, she jumped for joy. Now, we are going to transform this sentence actually. The sentence says, as soon as Sita was gifted a cycle from her father, she jumped for joy. Don't forget the comma over here. So, what we have to write is, no sooner was Sita. Make sure that we have used did over here. Why? Because we've seen that we've used V2 sensitive, but we have was over here, so we have to replicate it. We have to imitate the same thing. No sooner was Sita gifted a cycle from her father than she jumped for joy. Again, we have used than over here. And one more common mistake, common error that students make is they don't understand the difference between than and then. So we'll understand it later, but first we'll understand that later. For of now, we have to talk about transformation. So now we are going to understand something else, some other things that helps you bring the best in the chapter transformation. Let's change the page. Well, now we have not only but also. We have not only but also. So let's see how we use this very term in a sentence to show transformation. Not only but also shows two typical instances, two typical situation. For example, Sita and Geeta are intelligent. Now, we have seen that we have two nouns in first case. In first case, we have two nouns, noun plus noun. We have two nouns. Now, let's see how we can change this very sentence using not only but also. So we can write we can transform it by two ways actually. First, we can write not only Sita, but also Gita is intelligent. Now, let's focus on the verb. So we have two subject over here, and according to syntax chapter, like subject and verb agreement chapter, we have used are over here. And in the same context, we have used is over here because this is a rule. There is a rule in subject verb agreement that when we have two sort of connectors together, so we take the other ones as a subject. We take the other one as a subject, like Gita is intelligent. Let's take another example showing some of the object. For example, she loves mangoes and she loves mangoes and bananas. So we can see over here that we have two object, object 1 and object 2. We have two object. Now what we are going to do is to use not only but also in order to transform or change this sentence structure, but again we can't change the meaning. Let's see how we do. She not only loves mangoes but also banana. So we can write it in this way. She not only loves mangoes but also banana. Or we can write she loves not only mangoes but also bananas. The second one would be more perfect. Now again, this was the case with two object. We can sum up here like noun plus noun could be replaced by not only but also. Again, we have object 1 plus object 2 could be replaced by the same thing. Now we have to take the example of double verb. Verb 1 plus verb 2 can be replaced by the same thing. Let's understand in the next page. She loves and enjoys cricket. Now we can see that we have two verbs, verb 1, verb 2 over here. We have two verbs. Now what we are going to do is we are going to use not only but also. Not only but also. Let's see how we do. She not only loves cricket but also enjoys it. This is how we do. Now we have another magical words. And what is the word? Let's understand it in the next term. The word is to. T-O-O. To is sometimes confusing and sometimes it has a variety of uses in the sentences. But today we will understand the use of to in this context of transformation. Sometimes we say it is too hot. Too hot. This is adjective and this is adverb because it has the word to describe or talk about adjective. So we can replace it with it is so hot. But sometimes the students make a mistake. They used to write it is very hot, it is very hot, but it becomes not right. Sometimes it becomes wrong. Understand how. Two versus very. However, both have same meanings, but we have to see that to is used for the negative sense and very for the positive sense. We can write she is very beautiful, but we can't write she is too beautiful. We have example, she is very beautiful. Beautiful, it is for the positive sense. But when we write the dog is too dangerous, too dangerous, we simply mean that we have negative sense. Now we are going to understand something more, taking the instances of to. For example, there is a boy who plays cricket and badminton too. So we can see that we have used to in the last of the like sentence, and now we have to try to understand how we change the to. The boy, the boy in this context loves cricket as well as badminton. So we've seen here that we have used as well as in order to replace to. So sometimes we have to and we replace it with as well as. Now another case is to be seen when we talk about the chapter removal of to. What is the case? The case is that sometimes we have double to in a context. One to and double to. So what we do is we change this to so and this to that. Let's see how we do in a simple way. For example, she is too slow to dance. The meaning is negative. Whenever you find double to in a context, we have to understand that we have negative sense. So during transformation, we have to be quite aware that we can't change its sense. We have to remain negative. For example, we have to use she is, and instead of to, we have to use so slow. Instead of this to, we have to use that. She is so slow that she can't dance. And we have multiple examples like this. Again, she is too shy to speak. The same thing we have to do. She is so shy that she can't speak. In this way, we can change it. Back to back, we have different sort of like other connectors, which are very amazing and gives you the best expression. Let's take the example of if. When we change if, it becomes not plus unless, or we can say unless plus not. Unless plus not makes up if. Example, if you work hard, you will succeed. Now we can change it using unless plus not. Unless you, this is also a term of common error. So unless you work hard, you won't succeed. This is where we have used not, and this is here we have used unless. Sometimes sometimes we change unless with if plus not. For example, if you don't study well, you won't pass. So we can say unless you study well, you won't pass. Now you can see that we have used if plus not, means if is here, not is here, and we have changed if plus not to unless, and both of the sentence is negative, but negative plus negative makes out a positive sense over here. In the next class, we are going to discuss more and more about transformation, because this is a quite lengthy chapter, and we will keep understanding back to back all the things which are to be studied under the chapter of transformation, and this will give you the best expressions and different sort of expressions. Thank you.